Here is the Troxus Trax, a commuter e-bike that's designed to give you a quality ride and to go much further than most other commuter e-bikes out there. But can it? Stay tuned and you'll find out. Before I begin, please take a moment to consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell on your screen. Doing so helps support this channel, which enables us to bring in more bikes to test and review, and will let you know of any future videos we post featuring more e-bike content that you'd like. Now, a lot of folks are fed up with traffic and the high cost of owning a car, and instead are switching over to e-bikes. Commuter e-bikes are a big part of the recent surge we're seeing in e-bike popularity. One thing people are looking for more and more, and aren't finding with a lot of the e-bikes out there, is a commuter e-bike with a battery that can go further than 40 or 50 miles. That's where this Troxus Trax 3750 comes in. This Trax 3750 is the premium version of the 4 versions Troxus offers. Paired with its 30 amp hour battery and 750 watt motor, hence the name 3750. This Trax was designed as Troxus's long-distance commuter e-bike. Now, they promote this as an e-bike that can go up to 110 miles on a single charge, and it's a Class 3 e-bike that throttles up to 20 miles per hour and pedal assist up to 28 miles per hour. This step-through frame, it makes jumping on and off this bike a breeze. Its ergonomic design provides good riding comfort, and it also has an attractive look. Now, the finely crafted welding enhances the smooth and shapely contours of the frame while also giving this bike the strength and stability you need for a safe and fun ride. The motor and battery and other key components, they do a lot to increase this bike's appeal to riders. Now, through our array of performance tests, we got the big picture of what this bike can really do. The short answer? Well, this bike can do a lot. So in a moment, I'll dissect for you the details from our real-world testing and give you some valuable insights so you can decide if this is the bike for you. Like I mentioned before, the big 30 amp hour battery, that's a big deal on the Trax. It does make this bike a bit heavier than those other commuter e-bikes, but then again, those other commuter e-bikes don't have the juice to take you as far. So here at Electric Bike Report, we are ride now, charge later junkies. That is, we like bikes that can go further on one battery charge. So we were really chomping at the bit to see how far this bike would go on our range test, which I'll cover that in a minute. Keep in mind, e-bikes with bigger batteries usually need motors that deliver more power. So Troxus armed this bike with the Bafeng 750 watt motor. It generates up to 75 Newton meters of torque, and that's great for getting ahead and getting up hills. This bike also uses the Shimano Acera 8-speed to disperse power to the rear wheel, along with a very usable below-bar trigger shifter. Using the 12 to 32 tooth rear cassette, that really helped with reducing ghost pedaling, while the 46 tooth chainring makes pedaling pretty easy, even up hills. Now, suspension to soften the potholes and bumpy terrain, that's handled by the Zoom front fork. Best of all, an additional part of the suspension is this SR Sun Tour parallelogram suspension seat post. If you haven't ridden on one of these before, I think you will be pretty impressed. When you first get on this bike, you want to bounce your tush up and down and get the feel on how this suspension seat post is going to soften your ride. Also, sitting comfort is provided by Troxus's own custom seat. The color LCD display, it lights up pretty well in daylight and at night, and there's even a USB port for you to charge your smartphone. Now, this bike rolls on 27.5 by 2.4 inch Kenda Quick 7 tires, and they've got the reflective sidewalls. Now, Troxus advertised using this bike for some light dirt riding, but we didn't find the tires to offer suitable tread. So if you're thinking about riding this in the dirt, you'll have a better ride if you use knobby tires instead. But other than that, the Trax proved itself as a really good e-bike for commuting. Also, if you need to carry cargo, groceries, or other small items, this bike comes with a rear rack that can carry up to 55 pounds. Now, the Trax weighs 80.5 pounds and can carry up to 330 pounds total carrying capacity. That's rider and cargo total. I also liked how the 14-degree sweep back handlebar gives this bike that Dutch bike feel. Combined with the upright posture and comfortable saddle padding, this bike was comfortable for long rides and multiple rides in the same day. I also like the ergonomic rubber grips. They fit my hands really well, helped me keep in control, and never felt slippery even when they got wet. All in all, the ride experience was pretty good on this bike. Another great feature with this bike, it zings with eye appeal. Beginning with the finely crafted frame welding, it gives it a shapely design, and this bike's available in 3 attractive colors: red, black, and silver. From our first test ride, the Trax showed us it can speed up and take off pretty quickly. But can the bike stop quickly too? Well, we pondered that when we tested these bikes' brakes. They're Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, and these Tektro HD E350 brakes, they're also found on many other e-bikes. And the main reason, well, they brake well and they're reliable. And they proved it on this bike, enabling it to stop from 20 miles per hour at an average distance of 25 feet and 4 inches. Testing these brakes outside our test site and riding the Trax through hilly neighborhoods and bike paths for over 120 miles, I had a chance to see how these brakes performed again and again. 2 words come to mind when thinking about their performance: consistent and reliable. Now, while riding a series of downhills, many of which required constant braking, these Tektros were reliable in stopping me and the bike. A few times I had to hold the brake long and hard. Now, some bike brakes, they begin to fade under this kind of stress, but not these Tektros. They stop me like a champ. The more I used these brakes, the more confident I felt riding this bike. Now, whether I needed to do a quick wheel lockup at 10 miles per hour or a 300-foot long slowdown on a steep hill, these brakes answered my call and performed really well. The speed test helps us identify this bike's average speed in each pedal assist level. The chart on the screen gives the details on how this bike performed on this test. Even though this bike weighs 80 pounds with the 30 amp hour battery, pedaling on the first run using no pedal assist, it wasn't too taxing, and what a surprise that was. Riding in PAS1 on the second run, the motor lagged a little at first before finally pushing the bike up to 10 miles per hour. Therefore, PAS1 was only good for flat stretches, making it better for slow cruises on the boardwalk. The Bafang 750 watt hub motor really showed it can deliver when testing PAS2, 3, and 4. And all 3 of those levels, this bike bolted forward fairly quickly and reached its cruising speed without hesitation. I found PAS3 to be the best all-purpose pedal assist level for most of my riding. The bike cruised at an acceptable rate on the bike paths, not so fast that it could scare pedestrians and their dogs, and it used battery power at a reasonable amount. PAS4, it was good on 25 mile per hour streets, but be ready to bolt ahead very quickly when you click into PAS5, making this level suitable for streets where you need to keep up with traffic. The range test tells us how far this bike can go on a single battery charge, using the minimum PAS level for the longest range and using the maximum PAS level for top speed. Since this bike lagged when using it PAS1, we rode using PAS2 in this first test. This gave us the best continued pedal assist while using the least amount of energy from the battery. It provided a suitable level of power from the motor without requiring the rider to significantly increase pedal power, even in short inclines. Riding in PAS2, the Trax traveled 70.4 miles in a time of 5 hours, 6 minutes and an average speed of 13.8 miles per hour. Compared to similar commuter e-bikes with 750 watt motors, these results are 10 to 15 miles better than average. It should be noted though that this bike also uses battery that is 10 to 15 amp hours larger than the others. Now, earlier I mentioned you can order this bike with different features. The battery is one. You can get a Samsung battery in 3 different sizes on this bike: 15 amp hour, 20 amp hour, and 30 amp hour like this one. You can pay less and get a Trax with a smaller battery, but just remember that the range is going to be shorter than the distance we got with this battery. Also, this Trax comes with an MDN 4.5 amp hour smart charger. On average, it took 8 hours to fully recharge the battery each time we used up all the power. We expected that. It sounds like a long time, but this is a massive battery. So overall, that's not bad. Our hill climb test really pushes e-bikes to the limits using one of the highest hills around, Utah's own Hellhole Trail. It's a third of a mile long and it has a grade averaging 12%. This is a test of extremes because the hill could be steeper and tougher than most hills you would face. But it helps us see what kind of raw power the motor can produce to help you get to the top. We do this test in two parts. The first is using the throttle only with no pedaling. And the second test involves basic pedaling while using the highest PAS level, in this case, PAS 5. Most bike riders will agree that hill climbing is the most challenging part of riding. E-bike motors certainly level the playing field for riders who are trying to trounce their way to the top, and with less effort and less sweat. Testing e-bikes on their climbing ability provides useful information on what you can expect when you're facing a tough hill. Now, some e-bikes don't make it to the top on the throttle only test, but the Trax not only made it, it did so in an impressive time of 1 minute and 22 seconds and an average speed of 13.2 miles per hour. The second part of the hill test, using PAS 5 and basic pedaling, the Trax again shined brightly, reaching the top in an again impressive time of 1 minute and 9 seconds and an average speed of 15.7 miles per hour. Making this result sweeter is the fact that this was one of the fastest results we've seen among commuter e-bikes we tested on the hill climbing. For the most part, the Troxus Trax delivered when it came to taking us further than average, and that's thanks to the giant 30 amp hour Samsung battery. Now, from the 750 watt Bafeng motor to the Tektro brakes, this bike is fitted with decent parts that should give you good performance with reasonable longevity. The Trax comes with multiple choices for options, meaning if you don't need all the features this version has, you can customize it to fit your needs and your budget. Now, there were some things that we found in testing that could use a little improvement, including the pedal assist calibrations that we noted. It's not uncommon for us to want different calibration than what the factory uploads on their e-bike systems. And we mentioned this in the hope that the Troxus team takes a look and possibly updates this for future Troxus riders. This bike shines brightest though when riding it as a commuter e-bike. It rides like a full-size bike, meaning it can overcome most obstacles you're going to encounter, and it maintains a noticeable presence to cars and other riders that you might encounter. We liked how this bike rode and all the features it offers, and we think this would make a good e-bike for commuters in need of a bike that can take them up to 70 miles on a single charge. Troxus ships their bikes directly to consumers, so you can click the link in the video description to find out current pricing. Thanks for watching our review of the Troxus Trax. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, then please click like, and if you're not currently a subscriber to our channel, please subscribe. It really helps us get the word out to others about e-bikes. Also, be sure to click the link to our in-depth written review. It has the details I mentioned today, plus a lot of other important stuff. So that's it for now. I'm Forrest Woolman with the Electric Bike Report. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you out there on the bike trails, and please remember, keep your hands on the bar, your feet on the pedals, and your eyes on the road, and I'll see you next time here on the Electric Bike Report.